Welcome to the Strength for Life podcast, where smart strength training meets real life. We're Dr. Matt and Nicole Klingberg, founders of Village Fitness and Physical Therapy. Here, you'll learn what really works in the gym, at home, and for life. Today on the Strength for Life podcast, we have a very special guest, one of mine and Nicole's best friends in the world, one of my favorite people.
Somebody else here.
Yeah.
And longest friends.
Yeah, Dr.
Are you talking about
Erik.
Jamila behind the... Surely it can't be me.
Oh, it's you, Dr. Erik Gullen.
Wow. Can we just end the podcast here?
Yeah, let's just...
I need to process this. Wow.
So we met Dr. Erik back in 2014.
Correct.
Yeah.
Did you meet him first?
Yeah, I met Erik first. Yes, at the Claremont
Yeah.
Club. We were both personal training
Oh, yeah.
and
I think we were considered master trainers.
Master
That's
trainers.
That's what they call this.
master trainers.
Yeah.
And I remember Erik started and I first was a little bit like, who is this guy? And then very quickly I learned he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. He'll also talk to me for hours when I'm in the middle of trying to program for clients. I vividly remember being working. I had a break from clients and I was like, okay, great. I'm going to work on my programs for them for next week. Like I'm going to get all caught up. I have a break right now. And Erik slides in and he's like, so what you doing today? I was like, I'm programming, Erik. I'm trying to get work done. And he's like, tell me about it. He's like, I don't really know what I'm doing today. I should probably text my clients and see if they're coming in.
That sounds about
And
right.
I was like, wow, we are so different.
They did, in fact, come in.
They did come in. I know. You texted them and they were there like 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
They were just waiting for their reminder text.
Yeah.
And then I remember him being like, can I show you something new? And this is one of the things I love about Erik is he's so curious and always wanting to try different iterations and make things better. And I think you're going to take that away from today's podcast of he's willing to try anything. And I love that about him. And I think that's why a huge reason why the programming is as great as it is today. And we're going to get into that.
So Erik and I was doing hip thrusts at the Claremont Club.
Yeah.
Kind of like a peacock when they flap up their feathers. This is what one man does to attract another guy friend during mating season. Anyways,
Oh my God.
bad analogy, but I was doing
Very
hip
bad.
thrusts.
And I think I walked Erik over and I was like, oh, I want you to meet my husband.
Yeah, you said, hey, you're going to APU PT school soon. My husband's already in that same program. You should meet him. I said, well, of course I should. And you're like, well, let me introduce you. And we walked over to the center of the not extremely clean gym floor, I might add. Like,
It was
like
gross.
old,
Old carpet.
from probably circa
Who thought carpet
1982.
in a gym was a good idea.
So bad.
Every single person in from 1960 to 1985 thought carpet in a gym was a really good idea.
Disgusting.
So bad.
So bad.
The trend's going to come back around. They're all cyclical. 5 years from now,
Carpet.
Village is going to be wall-to-wall carpet.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And if it's really cyclical, it's going to be shag carpet.
Shag carpet.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Dude,
So
that's
Matt's
so
doing
funny.
hip thrusts. So I'm looking at him from above.
Yeah.
Like, hi, I'm Erik. And Matt's like, I'm Matt. It's great. Yeah. Well, this is the most compliments I think I've received from you guys ever in
Yeah,
one.
we got to be nice on the podcast.
So yeah,
Yeah.
can
We're
I
on
do
our
this
best
podcast more
behavior.
often? Anytime I'm having a bad day,
We'll have
can
you
I just
back.
be on your
come
podcast?
in. We'll have you back.
All right.
So anyway, so then you guys proceeded to go on a first date.
Well, but before then, in PT school, when you get to your second year, you get to have a little bro, somebody in the class. And so I got assigned this little bro. I think his name was Chad.
Chaz with a Z.
Okay, Chaz with a Z.
Yeah. And you ditched him.
Anyways, I found out Erik got into PT school. Like you were planning to go the next year, I think. And they were like, hey, we have a spot and we like you.
you start in 5
Can you
days?
start in, I think it was less than 5 days.
Yeah. So as you might imagine, I had to text my clients at the Claremont Club to be like, sorry guys, I won't be in today or for the next 3 years.
But it was like 2 days before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It was a Friday and then I started on a Monday.
Yeah. And I just I want to hang out with Erik more. Got to have him as my little bro. So I dumped Chaz.
Poor Chaz.
Yeah.
Chaz was a great guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it worth mentioning that he has red hair?
Oh my gosh.
Because what you
People
did
love,
may
you know.
be considered a hate crime.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
What's the temperature for this podcast?
Yeah.
Should I bring it back down?
Lower than that.
Yeah,
Whatever
it
Okay.
is.
Should we change the names? Chaz, if you're out there, I miss you.
Anyways, so you're my bro. And then we had to go to Dave and Buster's as like a date or like a meet the bros kind of thing.
Yep. And you had preloaded like token cards. I remember being amazed that like you had your own.
Yeah.
Like,
and Eric said to me, he's like, hey, you want to get out of here and get some Cheesecake Factory? And I was like,
they got a great happy hour.
Say less. So went to Cheesecake Factory. Those were great burgers.
Yeah, I know. That was back when it was like $4.95 for a double burger.
I just sent you that video on Cheesecake Factory.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to get distracted.
That's a different podcast.
Different podcast.
Wild business model.
Yeah. But anyways, I've always respected, just like Nicole said, your curiosity. And I remember vividly at APU, you just like wanting to do PT on me and other people. Just like always wanting to solve people's problems, always wanting to make things better, and always never satisfied with the status quo answers that a lot of the fitness world gives. Like, this is just the way that we do things, and this is how it is, and this is as good as it can be.
That attitude got me in a lot of trouble in school.
Me too. Yeah. My attitude's not as far as yours in that direction, but I have some of that, and it's like the system doesn't like that. Mm-mm. Yeah. So anyways, we went through PT school. I think in your third year, started working at Village.
Mm-hmm. Well, you opened Village when you were in your residency at Kaiser.
No, in PT school.
He was still in PT
third year.
school. Yep. Right before he graduated.
Oh yeah. And that was right after you had Cooper?
Before.
Right
before.
Okay. I'll never forget walking down Glendora Avenue for the holiday stroll. And it was like when you guys had you'd been open for like maybe 2 months, right?
Okay, yeah.
And it was just you on like the far end of the studio playing Christmas carols on your guitar. And there was nobody else around.
Because we didn't know what to do. We're like, I guess we're a part of this thing this year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. So Eric started working for us beginning of 2017. Mm-hmm. Started to coach, and the workouts looked very different at that time. Mm-hmm. We used to just have maximum of 6 people, and people were in stations, and then they rotated throughout the workout. Mm-hmm. So they would do like
2 squat racks, 2 like pull-up bars. Where the TRXs were there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then like a dumbbell med ball area.
Yeah. Where there was usually like a bench there where they'd do stuff there.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they would like rotate through those three areas. And we still, it was like similar in that, like they did a warm up and then they did their 3 sets or whatever. And then they did some type of apex. It was back when we had battle ropes. I know everyone really misses those battle ropes. That took up like those battle ropes. 2/3 of the studio.
Mm-hmm. Nobody knew how to take them out or put them away.
No. And then we would do a wind down. And so that was how we started off.
I think it was cool because we did the personal training aspect of things in a group. Like we cared about every individual person and we cared a lot about the workout as a whole.
Yep.
But the programming was definitely more.
There was room for improvement.
Yeah, there was room for improvement.
And we used to have these mini iPads. This is the best. There was 6 of them on the wall, not far apart, so that 6 people could actually enter in their data. And we put in Google Sheets, and they couldn't see them because, of course, it's so small on a mini iPad. And so they would try to like expand the cell, but in doing so, you would click all these other cells. So people's numbers and like workout tracking was all over the place.
Yep. The only thing better than trying to like get in on that little iPad and click that little square and input your number is doing that with 5 other people whose hands are right next to yours trying to do it in the same time. Yeah, it was great.
So those didn't last for very long. No. I think we pretty quickly realized like this isn't working. This is like, this is a gridlock and not working. So we decided, I don't know, a year after we got rid of that. Yeah. We were just like, let's stop. The other thing we did at that time was we rewrote and had new programming every single month, which was so much work.
And then we were full circle with me and Nicole. Nicole's writing all of this programming, getting super far ahead of things. And I'm like, hey, what are you working on? What's going on? Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Let's try doing banded exercises.
Hey, what if we just did a whole month of band themed exercises?
So we did.
And it was okay. It was
so
just
now
okay.
Eric has seen the light, and the bands are no more, and barbells have taken.
We use them. We don't make an entire month of exercises based on bands.
No, we don't.
But you're giving me ideas. I mean, we could bring it back. That'd be like a great April Fool's.
People just come in. It's like, okay, get out your resistance band. We're only going to use this today. So, yeah. So then we want to go into what happened next.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe Erik has a different memory of this, but we started following this guy, knees over toes guy, Ben Patrick, and he, I think, changed my perspective on some things. Like he was doing exercises that we were taught were bad, like a knee over toe lunge and a Jefferson curl and a full range of motion, like bending exercise. I was like, but it made so much sense. It was like, you need to train your capacity to do these things. You want to be strong and resilient through a full range of motion. And he also came up with all these different standards for these exercises. That was, for me, that was the first time I had thought of that terminology of a standard for a movement. But he had like 30 of them and they were always changing.
Yeah.
Like every time you look at his list, it was like different and new. I don't know. Was that kind of?
Yeah. Well, I think it was one of those things where it came at the perfect time and answered a lot of questions and crystallized some things that had been kind of just spinning around the ether, questions and problems. And one of the things you mentioned was the use of full range of motion with progressive overload. And one of the things that we learned in PT school that was a pretty big deal at the time. Now it's more mainstream knowledge, but when you have chronic pain or any kind of chronic impairment issue, graded exposure tends to be the answer. And graded exposure is sort of like the little brother of progressive overload, which is what you're trying to do with strength training. So if people have pain when they're bending their spines, the answer isn't to always keep the spine perfectly neutral and braced. That's part of it, but almost a more important part is taking that bending movement and gradually exposing the spine to it at levels that don't insult it or hurt it, and gradually building that up to the point where it's not going to cause a problem with anything you would do in daily life. So now, instead of avoiding flexing the spine, you've just gotten really good at it. So that's like what the Jefferson curl is. And then we kind of made some modifications to how we do it. So we call it a village curl because it's not really a Jefferson curl anymore. So that was one kind of area of things. And then another one was just the idea of having standards, having really specific targets that you're going to intelligently pursue and pursue them incrementally. So one step at a time, not just making huge jumps and violating that principle of graded exposure, progressive overload. And that answered a really big question for me, a thing that had really been frustrating me the more that I worked in both fitness and in physical therapy was we would ask people, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, but it turns out people don't really know what they want as a goal outside of, I want to feel good.
Right.
Or I want to be able to go on this vacation and walk a lot and not have my knee hurt. Or I want to be able to carry this suitcase from the ship all the way to my hotel room and not have to put it down. And so, but that doesn't necessarily translate well into what we can do in a fitness or a physical therapy situation, because we don't exactly have a cruise ship and a hotel that we're going to practice carrying suitcases. So how do we translate that into actual goals that we can help people accomplish? And what made sense was we need to give people their goals. And those goals need to actually make sense. They need to be practical physiologically, but they need to have a real direct carryover to the types of goals that people do know that they have. And so the idea of having standards was huge. And it just, as soon as we saw it, it just clicked. But then the big question was, well, how do we make standards that actually work? How do we make standards that don't have to change every other week? How do we make standards that work for our population, our demographic, not a much younger demographic? So yeah, those were two of the big things, but that was huge.
And it was all during COVID.
Yep.
This was happening. And so we were closed for months, I think like 6 months.
And during that time, that was when we decided to give everyone their personal station. So we went from, people rotated to like, let's actually expand and have 8 people in a session. And then when we first put the squat racks in, we were like, oh, we'll be back open, in like a couple weeks. And that couple weeks turned into like a few months. And when people came back in, there was tape down the middle, tape around their racks, telling them
Totally
like,
can't cross tape.
You cannot go outside of your taped area, which like looking back, it feels really funny, but it wasn't funny at the time. It was like, and you have to walk in between these red lines if you're going to go get any weights. And we were like,
6 feet of separation.
Yeah. We were like, we have to figure out how to get people to work out where they're not going to like interact with somebody else. And so we need to give them as much equipment as possible at their station. So we started to like think about
we kind of wanted to do that anyways.
We
I
did,
think
yeah.
I love the idea of everybody has all that they need for their workout
And
here,
they're
and
not
everybody
having
can
to-
do the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
The hard part was figuring out how we were going to get battle ropes at every single station. And after
battle ropes.
much deliberation, we just had to decide
was
we
gone.
won't do the battle ropes.
Yeah. So that was in 2020. And for about a year, we did a lot of like hybrid stuff. So we did like a lot of people did just home body weight workouts with us live. We did like live streaming sessions. We did a lot of park workouts. And then when people did come back, I think they came back for a little bit and then we had to close again. And then we reopened. And so during this whole time was like when the standards, I think it was like towards the end of 2021 is when we started to like really finalize.
It was it was the start. It was Q1 2021.
Okay, Q1.
I
So
feel
it was
like
like
still in 2020. Maybe it was 2021, but you sent me an email in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's like 2 a.m. No, it was almost 3 a.m.
in true Eric fashion.
True Eric fashion. And I don't remember. I can't find that email. I don't remember what led up to that email, the conversations we had. But all I remember is like, you're like, here's the standards. What you probably remember all this better than I.
Yeah. So years of me being, and by years, so that would be at that point like 3 years of being really, really frustrated with the goal issue, with feeling like feeling inauthentic or almost unethical for my own personal standards of when somebody comes to me and says, can you solve this problem? And I can't give them a good answer. That just ate away at me. It just gnawed at my bones. And which is why I found myself awake one night after midnight and just furiously typing out this
You're
thing.
an angry typer.
Yeah. That's true. That's
Especially
true.
at 2 a.m.
Yeah. This plan. And I just started with all the things, all the problems that I was so frustrated about. And then how I wanted to solve each one and then how it would all fit into this program. And so, other men have done great things. Luther had like his 95 theses that he, nailed to the Catholic Church or whatever back in what year was that? 15 something maybe. Somebody find that out for me. I just furiously typed an email at 2 a.m. and hit send to Matt and Nicole. By the way, Matt and Nicole, great business owners. They're the only two people I know that in the middle of COVID, after like being shut down, losing so much revenue, are like, let's spend $60,000 to acquire a second studio, fill it with new equipment, make space for 8 people instead of 6.
Yep.
And it's all going to work because we will put red tape on the ground.
It's true.
And it worked.
My general philosophy during that time was like, there's going to be opportunities. And if we just like withdraw and retract and conserve, like we're going to miss out on all these opportunities. And I think there's always, no matter what the economy is, there's always room for people that are doing excellent work. And I think we just became more excellent during that time.
Yeah, well,
Like,
I just remember
we have to get better.
there was
we did.
so many times where it's like we were just like, okay, we're gonna take this like back to the drawing board. Like we're gonna redo our principles. We're gonna redo our values. Like we're gonna just like really make these things that we don't have a lot of time to address normally because we're coaching all day and treating patients, and we're just gonna like make them excellent. And so we did a lot of that during COVID.
Don't forget about the time that we created the world's best at-home complete exercise program with full nutrition cooking lessons.
This is where we'll insert an ad for V23 in here after the fact.
One day it'll
Don't
take
worry.
off. One day it'll take off more than just Chuck's father-in-law will do V23.
Use code podcast25 to get 25% off V23.
Oh my gosh, so funny. So yeah, so we did so much filming. We got the cops called on us at least twice because they thought we were open, even though we weren't. We were just filming.
We were kind of open.
No, we really weren't. We were filming. I don't know. There might have been a few people that were getting treatment, but we did a lot of in-home stuff.
Yeah, PT was a thing. You could do PT.
You could do PT. Yeah. You're treating people.
Yeah.
We were also treating people and training them in their homes and doing a lot of Zoom personal training, which turns out doesn't work that well, especially when you have to move and you have to keep moving the camera. Man,
good times.
Those days.
So anyways, email, which actually, I think most of the current standards were in that email.
Yeah, very little has changed. Yeah,
push up and pull up were in there. They might have been named differently.
The only single standard that has actually changed was we took out the double leg top down and we replaced it with ski erg.
And we had a walk, run, sprint.
But that just got simplified to the V step. The V step was in there, but it included a couple of other things.
Yeah.
And then Arnold Santos gave us such a hard time about walk, run, sprint that finally.
Well, it wasn't objective, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was just not the way the other ones were. And so that became the V step, which was great because I just sent an email about it yesterday. What it does is very unique. And that's really what it came down to is we need to distill all things strength training, all things therapeutic and corrective movement, all things mobility and stretching and balance and stamina. We need to take this entire universe of exercises and encyclopedias of exercises that we all knew and distill it into something that we could make into standards where we could say, here is the exact path forward. Here is the exact way that we cue this and that we coach this. It was very much, we're gonna concentrate the breadth so that we can get much more depth. And then we're gonna teach coaches how they can administer these movements more at the level that a PT might, or somebody with an exceptional level of training in human physiology and movement. Because we knew that if we could do that, if we could offer people an extremely high level of coaching within the context of a small group, without them having to pay for physical therapy. If we knew that we could have somebody who would come and say, I have this shoulder thing or a back thing or a knee thing, that instead of having to immediately go to PT, we could actually put them into this program where there's so much structure and so much leveling, and it's so administered, or it's so well administered by the coaches that it almost functions like therapy. I mean, that was huge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But in order to do that, we had to distill things down and distilling things down and figuring out exactly what you're going to choose because you're eliminating hundreds of other things. That was what took a lot of deliberation and a lot of thought.
What were other things you considered when you were writing that email? Do you remember?
Well, I think so. Actually, I had figured out the 12 movements that I wanted. I think it was either earlier that afternoon or it was like a day or two before. I remember I was sitting on my couch in my apartment. It was like afternoon. I couldn't see my iPad that well because the light was at that wrong angle for a screen where you can barely see it. So I'm furiously scribbling on my iPad and I can't see it. But I remember I wrote it with like
candlelight.
Yeah. I wasn't typing. I was using like the Apple Pencil or whatever. But that was when I first wrote those. And this sounds cheesy, but it was like each one just came right after the other. Mm-hmm. And they've never changed. Like that amazing. I don't want to say there's like some sort of like divine light on it, but that's kind of how it felt.
Yeah.
Because usually for me, things like that it comes really, really slowly. And that was just like one right after the other. And I was just like, I think this is it.
Yeah.
And it just really hasn't changed.
Did they have levels with them back then or like a standard?
So they were, no, well, kind of. They had a standard, but we didn't have the stepping stone. We didn't have the milestone.
Yeah. That came later.
And everything was purely based off of a body weight progression, which is still how it is right now. But you guys probably remember this. We made these cards that were even smaller grids than the tiny iPads we started with years before. And so everybody had a card that was like a spreadsheet.
Oh, the spreadsheets.
Yeah. And it had the whole progression on there.
Yeah.
And in theory, it was foolproof. And in practice, it was not foolproof.
So messy.
Yeah.
I remember like putting pictures of people doing their exercises into those spreadsheets. And then,
Yeah. It's crazy when we think that we just Q1 of 2021, we're like, here we go. We're doing completely different everything. Everybody's going to learn barbells. And we weren't doing that much barbell stuff at the time. It was just in there as like the most advanced level of a squat or a deadlift. But most of our clients really, if we were doing squats, they were doing like a kettlebell goblet squat or something like that. And one of our biggest concerns was with safety of trying to teach 100 people at once how to lift barbells properly.
Yeah.
But I do remember at its inception thinking these 3 lifts, the deadlift, the squat, the press, they're done all over the world. They're done by all ages. They're done for virtually every sport people train for. There is just mountains of data on them. They have to be in the program. And then everything else was, how do we eliminate all of the common orthopedic problems that we see coming into the clinic? So take the single leg top down. It's basically an inverted test that PTs do called a straight leg raise. So a straight leg raise is somebody lays on a table, you stabilize the rest of their body, you lift their straight leg, and you're looking to assess their posterior capsule of their hip, and then more importantly, their sciatic nerve mobility. And I thought, well, what if we could just make that test negative for everybody so that we never have to have somebody with sciatica in the clinic? And what if we just made an exercise that's a progression of that test that now doesn't just have the mobility, but also has the strength and the balance involved? And so it was like we kind of had our big 3 to cover all the big strength variables and all the kind of major fundamental human movement. And then everything else was there to take a population that has a lot of accumulated pathology of mobility problems and nerve problems and in pain conditions, and just sort of integrate the PT clinic into their workouts. Because as a lazy person who doesn't actually want to do my job as a PT, thought if I can make all their tests negative before they even come in, well, then they don't have to come in. Yeah. And that sounded a lot more fun to me than doing a bunch of straight leg raise tests and slump sliders and all that kinds of stuff.
It's true.
And so far it's going okay.
Yeah.
So then the next problem that we wanted to solve was like, okay, well, we have these levels. I don't even remember. Did the stepping stone and milestone come in with benchmark?
No.
Or was it a little before that?
Benchmark week? Yeah. We had to have had that before we did.
I think we had it before.
I think we had it before. So we kind of realized like, okay, well, here's the standard for these 12 movements.
Yep.
And now we need to break it down into smaller, doses so that people aren't just like, how do I get from 0 to, and it 30
was like,
village
well,
push-ups?
obviously you follow the teeny tiny print and grid on your spreadsheet that we gave you. But turned out there's a long way from A to B, and we humans, we need some encouragement along the way.
Yeah. We need to feel like we've accomplished something before we get to the end goal.
Yep.
So we came up with the stepping stone and the milestone, and then the standards that when they first were written were significantly harder than they are today.
For the most part.
Yeah. So we also
the big 3 were all harder, if I remember correctly.
Well, they were originally 1 rep maxes.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing that we figured out was that a 1 rep max just doesn't work that well for our population.
Yeah.
That a 5 rep max for the press and the squat, or a 3 rep max for the deadlift just tends to work a lot better. So that was another reason that the percentage of body weight came down quite a bit, was also because we were doing multiple reps.
And as we went through it practically too, we saw like, well, what actually is possible for the population that we're training.
Yeah.
And like, are some of these things too far reaching for some of them? Like the push-up was one of those ones where it was like 30 village push-ups. And then we went through it and we're like, oh, only one person can hit the standard.
Yeah, one person out of
Once we
500.
did get to benchmark week, we probably need to change it and adjust it a little bit. So
by the way, Nicole has never been in favor a single time of lowering any standard ever, which should surprise no one.
It's true. I don't like the softness of it.
No.
anyways,
she's got high standards for the dishes as well and the laundry.
I've got high standards for myself in all areas of life. So, and others, myself and others.
And those closest to you.
Those closest to me. Anyways, so
Matt, you just look tired. Let's talk. I think we're touching on something here.
Yeah, let's double click on that.
Yeah. We're going to convert this into a awkward marriage therapy.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
So we have the stepping stone, milestone, and standard. We're not, I think at what point did we get journals? Like what year was that? It was definitely before we started benchmark week, right?
It was before.
End of 2022, I think. I don't know.
I don't think it was that long. Like I don't think we had those spreadsheets for longer than a year.
So sometime in 2022, started doing the journals.
Yeah.
It was rapid in 22, all the changes we made.
Yeah.
It was like benchmark week.
No. Benchmark didn't start till.
I thought that was Q4 of 2021.
No. Our first benchmark week was push-ups.
Oh, it was Q2.
It was Q2 of 2023.
Really?
23. Wow. Wow.
Q2 of 2023 was our first benchmark week. And that was Erik and I's rock. And we decided like we need to be able to get people to like.
And it was something we thought of like week. I don't know. It was
It was at the beginning of the quarter. It was.
I remember it being like week 5 or 6 and being like, we're going to put this together in 3 weeks.
No, we decided at the beginning. You might have started thinking about it at that point, but I was.
We're just back to the beginning. Nicole's hard at work and I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. So anyway,
what's poppin'?
3 years ago, this quarter.
Hey, we're all my people. I should text them.
We had our first benchmark week. And the heart behind it was actually before we even opened Village, we went to this fitness conference, Matt and I, and we bought this program that was
Ranks.
Fit Ranks. That's what it was called. And it was like color levels of like.
I remember this.
And it was like, okay, you test at this level. Everyone comes in once a month on a Saturday and they test. And that's the only time that they can go to like the next level and the next color.
So what Nicole originally wanted was for all of you guys who are listening, based on what level you were at, you were going to have like a color marking that you would wear maybe proudly, maybe not so much. And so you would just, every time you come to workout, you'd be like, you'd have to wear like the red band of shame because you were you hadn't even hit your like first level yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a really good idea. It's too bad we didn't implement that.
Too bad. So we decided not to do colors, but we did decide to do benchmark week because we wanted a way to measure people and to have like a space for that and a time for them to work up towards it. So it wasn't just like you can hit the standard. I mean, you could technically hit the standard, but time when we actually are measuring, paying attention to people one-on-one and assessing them in that movement and giving them time to ramp up for it. So they're not just like starting week 1, like I'm going to try the standard today and hurting themselves.
And our hope has never been to make people feel like they're inadequate, but rather to show them, I think, how much we believe in the potential of people, regardless of where they're starting from. Like we have this insane belief that people can accomplish great things. And that's why the standards are as hard as they are even today. Because we just like, I believe you can do it. Like, I think you can make the changes you need to make from a nutrition and lifestyle standpoint, from a movement standpoint, to get really strong, really mobile, improve your endurance and balance. And I'm okay if it takes a long time, but I think you can do it.
And now we have 3 years of evidence and data of actually measuring things. Like we knew this before, but now it's like we have the data and we've done this, however many times.
Get the receipts, as the kids say.
The receipts.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, receipts. That's the
My
word.
kids haven't said that one yet.
Yeah. So we've got the receipts, we got the proof, and it works. And people do get stronger. And benchmark week, hands down, is my favorite week of the quarter. Every single quarter, it's like the excitement and just to see how much people are excited about the progress they make. It really just shows again, it's like that people not necessarily believing in themselves. And then maybe they start to believe a little bit more and then seeing it come to fruition, I think is really empowering for people. And people are hitting the standards.
I think it's a really powerful human experience, regardless of if you're the competitive type or not, if you're the, I like to perform and being in front of people type or not. I think all humans have a deep desire to be seen and recognized and affirmed in the presence of their peers. And I think that benchmark week is mainly because the people that we have, that our clients are such stellar human beings inside and out, that it creates this environment where it's not one of harsh, cutthroat competition. It's like Matt was saying, it's like we have this mutual belief that humans are capable of so much more than we get to see. And that energy in that room where it's both safe, but also is pushing people to be at their best and then celebrating them for all the hard work they've put in. I mean, it's a gift to witness that. It's one of those things that restores your faith in humanity a little bit. And there's times where I just step back and I'm like, this is amazing. This is so much bigger than us. But I want to go back to kind of the psychology of having a target and having a standard, as opposed to just having an open-ended question of, I guess I need to work out. I need to do fitness. I need to exercise. Our brains need some structure. Our brains need a thing that they're pursuing. We have this incredible chemical called dopamine that gives us insane amounts of motivation to move mountains and do that over long periods of time. But if we want to tap into dopamine, we need to have something that we're pursuing. And having a program that gives you a standard and a series of incremental steps along the way that tells you that you're making progress towards that is so powerful for our human brains. And without, for instance, going week to week and saying, oh yeah, I added 2 pounds, I added 2 pounds, I added 1 pound, I added 1 pound, I added half a pound, I added 2 pounds. It's those little wins that keep that dopaminergic system turning and get us to places that we never could have gotten without that, despite our best efforts. You may have noticed this about yourself, but you're irrational. You do things that you don't want to do. You don't do things that you do want to do. And anybody who's had any success anywhere in their life figured out for that area how to pursue something for a long period of time. And so a huge part of what the standards are doing is they're helping us tap into that base psychology of how our brains work, and also making sure that along the way, we're not running into a lot of other dopamine problems, like doing too much too soon and hurting ourselves, and then taking a huge step back, maybe repeating that process a couple of times, and then just deciding I'm not cut out for this and completely going away from anything health and fitness. But there's a really simple way we like to discern between these two things. We call it the difference between exercise and training. And exercise is like, I'm going to go and maybe run around or do some push-ups or get on a cardio machine or just kind of whatever seems good at the time, or whatever DVD I've got, hashtag V23, or it never was on DVD, but it should have been. We should,
we should get it produced into DVDs.
V23 went straight to VHS in the year 2020.
That's why it didn't sell. It was so good.
We needed to do Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Well, what was I saying? So exercise, it's just kind of saying like, I need to go have an experience in the moment that makes me feel like I got out of breath, I got a little sweaty, I got a little bit tired, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Whereas training is saying, I have a very specific goal, I have a very specific progression to get there, and I'm going to keep showing up for that thing over and over and over and over. And sometimes I'm going to even ignore how I feel subjectively. It doesn't matter if I'm having the best day or the worst day. I'm on a schedule, I have a structure, and I'm going to keep following that to the best of my ability. And our clientele, our demographic, who Village serves, are not the people that are that typically that consider themselves to be great athletes and specimens of physicality. It's the everyday people that are like, I want to live a good life. I want to feel good. I want to be there for my family, for my friends, for my spouse. I got things to do, places to go. Like that's who it's for. And so that structure is so important, both for how we operate psychologically as humans, as well as for who we serve, for who Village was built for. I think it's worth saying.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fitness programs out there either are designed for young people, like CrossFit. They have a great kind of like hierarchy of achievement. in CrossFit. There's all the different workouts that you can do, and
there's all the different injuries you can get.
Different injuries you can accomplish.
Injury bingo.
But that stuff's really geared towards, I think, younger people. If that's even, I think it's questionable whether or not that's a good idea for even young people. Like high rocks that Nicole and I do, I wouldn't recommend it for most people over the age of 40.
I wouldn't even recommend it for you guys, but here we are.
Our High Rocks podcast episodes do worse than any other episodes. People just are like, I don't want to hear you talk about this. And here we are. Anyways, the fitness programs that are geared towards the older population usually are so low level that they're not even sufficient enough for them to build strength. And so nobody has created, other than us, a program that allows the aging body to optimize its potential in a way that's safe and effective. And I think the standards are like, that's the answer. It's like, how do we show people how strong they need to be, how mobile they need to be as they age?
Yeah, I think we have a population level thought virus that's propagated massively by the medical institution, which is after a certain age, you have to slow down. You shouldn't consider yourself in the running for anything close to athletic performance. You should just give up, basically. You should do really light yoga. If you want to be really cool, you should do some Pilates. You should
balance classes.
Yeah, balance classes, sittercise, aquarobics. You should maybe go for a walk. But and all those things are fine. They're better than nothing, as they say. But they put this idea in our heads that it's a virus. It's you say, well, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm being told to do. This is what I see everybody doing. So I'm just going to succumb to that. And I think what's so cool about what we've seen with Village is that social movement aspect of it, where you've got this whole community of people that are, every time they work out, showing that that's not true, showing what they're actually capable of, pursuing that together. And I think that I think the cultural tide is changing, and I see more and more and more now, not just around here, but around the country, of this idea of, we do need to do strength training. We are capable of more. This does heal a lot of problems that we haven't found other good solutions for. But I think that, and I'm obviously biased, but I think that our program I think we've thought through way more of the pitfalls than anybody else I've ever seen, because it is really difficult to everybody who's listening, it is really difficult to teach you guys how to lift weights properly and safely. And we're happy to do it. And, but it's not easy. And most people in our position are like, well, there's just too many risks. Nobody's doing it. So it's unprecedented. We're probably just going to get sued because one person's going to get hurt. And they give up on it. And I think we've just been dumb enough to keep chipping away at it and making it worse. But amazingly, I mean, we've really never had any major issues.
Nope. Yeah, I remember early on walking through sessions or coaching sessions and thinking to myself, man, these people, their deadlift form sucks, or their squat form sucks. Like, they're not going low enough. It's like, how is this even possible? Is it possible to teach 50, 60, 70-year-olds to squat and deadlift in groups of 8? In groups of 8. And now fast forward to today, I just jumped back into coaching after being out for like 6 months. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to coach today, because everybody's form looks so good. And it's like, yeah, these are 60, 70, and 80-year-olds that are squatting to depth with weight on their back, that are pulling from the ground, and the bar is like in contact with their body through the entire rep. It's like, it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. I get so amped up when I coach, because I feel like I'm witnessing the 8th wonder of the world every time I go in Monday, Wednesday at 9:15. I'm like, this is wild stuff. Yeah. When I walk around and I just got all these, how do we want to, I don't want to, older aging. We got these aging bodies, and they're jumping off of 18-inch boxes, and they're broad jumping across the floor, and they're lifting hundreds of pounds off the ground. Yep. And they're just doing things that when I walk out onto Glendora Avenue and I see what all of their peers are doing, I'm like, oh, this is different. This is like a different universe in here.
Yeah. I want to give you a couple of the criticisms that we get about training.
Good.
And then I want to.
Are they all from Arnold Santos? Or?
They're from the internet, people on the internet.
So Arnold.
Yeah. One of the big ones is that like training with barbells is unsafe. It's too stressful on the body. Like why wouldn't you just train with light weights, resistance bands, machines, and not stress your body so much? Like why do you need to do that?
Stress is the antidote to problems of degeneration and loss of capacity. We have to have stress if we want to correct the fundamental nature of what aging is. Doesn't mean that we can live forever, but we can expand our health span an awful lot longer than 50 years old. And frankly, the current generations they're looking old. Like I have peers that are talking about their back pain and their knee pain and they're slowing down. I'm like, you guys, like you're not even 40 yet.
Yeah.
I fear for our generation. Well, you need stress at every age and every stage of life, but you need it in the right amount. Mm-hmm. You need it dosed in a way that your body can respond, not with injury, but with adaptation. Mm-hmm. Without the stress, you will never get adaptation and you will degenerate faster and you will die sooner. Mm-hmm. That's just, there is so much evidence to support that. The people who live the longest are the people who have found a way to meter stress back into their lives. They're people who are walking a lot more, walking up and down hills, carrying things around, doing manual labor. They're the people that basically just refuse to slow down, but also figured out a way to not get injured and taken out of the game. And so we're just trying to take what has always worked for humans on this planet and distill it into 12 movements, distill it into a program that meets somebody exactly where they're at, doesn't exceed their stress tolerance so that they don't get injured and set back, but gives them the right dosage of that stress so their body can begin that magical process of adaptation. And when we see muscle tissue growing, when we see bone density increasing, and man, I've got crazy stories about bone density increasing. Mm-hmm. When we see physical abilities returning and expanding, it's like that is the opposite of aging. And again, it doesn't last forever. We are all going to die, but if we can add 10, 20, 30 years, good years. I mean, that's just, I don't have words to explain the power of that. I fundamentally believe that life itself is good and worth living. And anytime there's a question of more life or less life, I'm always going to answer more life. Yeah. More life, please.
More life, please. I'll take one more of lives, please.
I would like more life, please. Can I get more life?
Just in general, it's like you were saying, like there's just this cultural norm that like you get older and more fragile. And it's like, I mean, we see that when people come in, like their balance isn't great. Like they say things like, I can't get up and down off the ground, or my kids are concerned about me because, you know, like we had a client who recently told me, like, when I first started here, like I tried to go on a hike with my kids and it was like a mile and it wasn't even that steep. And I fell, and they were like, Mom, you have to do something about this. Like you're 60, like, you know, what do you want the next like 20, 30 years of your life to look like? Like at the rate that you're going, like it's not looking good. Like you're already falling, like you already can't walk a mile. And she's like, you know, you fast forward 18 months later, and she's like running up and down the hill. She's jumping off the 18-inch box. She's almost doing a pull-up, and it's like her life is radically different. And she's like, I see all of my friends getting weaker every day and more fragile and more afraid to do life. Like they're like,
and it compounds because you have a bad experience, and then people start telling you need to slow down, and then you actually do start slowing down, and then it's use it or lose it. So now you're losing things that you didn't even need to lose. And then so that fear, that social pressure, and then your awareness of your own loss of faculties, it all just compounds and it becomes a vicious cycle. And
then you end up in your house watching TV all day, every day, by
which
yourself.
is just depressing.
It is. It's like so sad. But I think that's a lot of people's reality because they get to the point where they like can't leave their houses. They feel unsafe or not, they're not strong enough because they need a walker or whatever it is. And so they're like isolated in their homes alone, watching TV all day.
The great thing about how all those factors compound and become a vicious cycle is that the opposite can also be true. So you start to flip the script and you start to have a supportive community and you start to do things that build confidence and you see your faculties, your physical faculties increasing. You're like, oh, turns out I can jump a couple inches. A month later, you're like, oh, it turns out I can jump a couple feet. Or, oh, it turns out I can pick up and lift something from the ground. And, oh, now it turns out I can pick up something that weighs 50 pounds. And, oh, now I can pick up something that weighs 100 pounds. And you start to see that your body is growing. And so that vicious cycle now becomes a virtuous cycle. And it's like, that's the worst thing about humans is how complex and interconnected we are, because it can make things really hard to solve. But the best thing is the same. It's that once those factors come together, but in the positive, it's like we become unstoppable until we die.
All right. Next hard question. Now we've answered this to some degree because we have age adjusted 4 of the standards.
Before we go on,
Yeah,
I think a more of like where the rubber meets the road answer to that question, which I started answering with how we dose stress. So if somebody comes in and they have back pain and they have been stuck in their, in their house on their couch for several years and they're really weak and they're really sensitive and they're really fearful and their balance is really bad, we don't start them with a barbell.
For sure.
We start with something like reaching and down and touching a 12-inch box just to begin practicing the basic pattern. And then we would progress to a 6-inch box and then the floor. And then once they're on the floor, then we might add like a 9-pound kettlebell. And then it would be 13, and then it would be 18, and then it would be 26. And about that time, they're usually ready to start with a 35-pound bar. And so it's all about breaking things down and regressing them to meet people exactly where they're at. And then even if they want to progress faster, slowing them down so that they actually go through the whole process. And that's what gets us to these insane results and these really crazy numbers that people end up hitting. It's because we started wherever they were and we trusted the process and we took our time with the process. And that's what everybody else, as far as I've seen, gets wrong, is that they start too heavy, they make big jumps. They basically do the same things wrong that teenage boys do wrong in a gym. It's just that when teenage boys do it wrong, they recover in like a couple days. When 60-year-olds do it wrong, they recover in a couple years. And so...
Have I ever told you about my friend Eddie?
No.
In high school? He would max bench press every day.
Wow.
He did it for like 6 months. Every day he would bench. And he just got freakishly strong. His chest was huge. This dude went from like 135-pound bench to 315 in a summer. But he was 17. It's like, you try a 77-year-old doing that, they're going to be cooked on day 2.
If you could see Matt's eyes the way I can, you'd see a distant look of yearning and
oh man, I mean, yeah,
jealousy maybe.
I was just happy for him. I was like, go Eddie,
Was that a wistful tone I picked up?
I don't know. You know me better than I know myself. Can I ask you my next question?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the other pushbacks we've gotten over the years has been, these are too hard for someone my age. Like they should be age adjusted for older people. Like if I'm 80, there's no way I can broad jump my height. Now we did age adjust the deadlift, the squat, the press, and the ski erg now. So those do decrease by 1% for every year you are over 55 and increase by 1% for every year under 55 down to 30. So how would you answer that question though? For someone, because originally we were thinking we're not going to age adjust them because physics is physics. And like if you weigh a certain amount, you should have a certain amount of muscle, be able to move a certain amount of mass. But how about the other ones like jump, V-step, village lunge, village curl? Are those still push up, pull up? Are those still reasonable for somebody who's, I don't know, 60, 70 or 80 to hit?
So I think the shortest answer to that part of the question is that I think within a year or two, we'll have figured out the right way to age adjust some of the other standards.
Yeah.
There's a difficult thing with the sociological engineering of what the standards are, of where we always have to ask first, what's the ultimate outcome? And if people are getting good outcomes with the program as it is, then we don't want to change it, even if in theory the change makes sense. And so with those things right now, it's working pretty well. And so we just want to be careful about how we calibrate those changes. But I think we've pretty much got to the place where we have enough data to know how we're going to start adjusting those things. So stay tuned for that. There probably will be.
Do you think all of them should be age adjusted eventually?
To an extent.
Okay.
I think what's hard is that there's so much variance in what somebody's ultimate abilities end up being. And I think that when the standards function as a landmark in the distance that we orient our present training towards, it functions whether or not we ever get to it. And that's why I said it's working the way it is, because even if a standard, for the sake of argument, was completely unattainable for somebody, the orientation that it gives them to go the direction they need to go,
for sure,
is still really powerful. So how much we want to change it in a way that then might impact other people who could meet or exceed it becomes the question. So it's in a sense less about the math or the physiology and a little bit more about the kind of the social psychological engineering aspect of it. Which is a really long way of saying, Matt, I just haven't gotten to it yet. I promise. I've got a lot of projects right now.
Also, we realized too, in actually assessing people, like we've changed the reps quite a bit in some of them purely for time. It turns out when you watch one person at a time do 30 push-ups, that's a long time when there's 8 people testing.
And we got to have time for that water bottle ceremony.
Yeah. The water bottle ceremony is super important. And so I think a lot of it, we realize too, like if we're really like strict on our criteria and people's form and like only watching one person at a time, like from a time sake, we just have to shorten the length of it. And then, in doing so, it obviously makes it easier. Like push-ups started at 30 and now we're down to 10, which that's
10?
a big,
I thought it was 15.
10.
10,
It's
yeah.
10.
I can do that easy right now. Shoot.
But I think the other component is like, if something feels completely unattainable and unreachable, I think people kind of are like, well, I'm just not even going to try. And so we also found like, well, if something does feel more attainable and is still challenging enough and is going to get them the result that they want, like the difference between 10 and 15 push-ups, like it's definitely, there is a difference, but at the same time, like if someone can do 10 floor push-ups, like with perfect form, then like they're probably strong enough to do the things that they want to be able to do.
Yeah. And you've got people like, I'm going to name names, Mary Stoddard, who is 70 or maybe maybe 71 now, who's hitting standards and exceeding some of them. And it's like, I don't want to age adjust in a way that prevents somebody like Mary from achieving at the highest level. Yeah. When I know that the people who maybe aren't really being harmed by it. So something else I'll just throw in there that's just might be an interesting detail is that when we ended up calibrating the big 3 for age adjustment, it worked really nicely. We know that after 40, we tend to lose 1% to 2% of our muscle mass per year. It's called age-related sarcopenia. And so we said, okay, well, if the top end potential of a human tends to go down 1% per year, then we can also age adjust down 1% without actually messing with their potential, because that just is what it is. That's that dying process I keep talking about. It's a weird space that we're in. It's a weird space I'm in that I find myself of like, we're all going to die because we're human, we're mortal, but we're in the business of we're in the business of getting people to live a really long time. And if we're not careful, we make it sound like people can live forever.
Yeah.
So
or that I think sometimes, and I've been guilty of this in the past, making it seem like we can solve all of your physical problems, all of your aches and pains can go away, and you can have this idyllic existence. And it's like, my tune is shifted. I'm like, I'm really careful what I say to people. I'm like, I think we can help you live way better than you could otherwise. We can. There's different roads you can go down as you age, and we can help you get on the most ideal road for your aging process. And maybe we can help you go back and get back on that road because you were headed down a real bad road.
Yeah. And in a lot of cases, when people get to that potential, when they get on that idealized road, it is fairly miraculous.
Yeah.
But it's better when it explains itself or announces itself versus when we talk about it, I guess. Anyway, so we adjust 1% per year, and 55 years old is kind of like exactly the middle of our clientele. And so we just set all the standards to be at 55, and then they go up 1% per year if you're younger than that.
Yeah.
And they go down 1% per year if you're older than that. And so far it's worked really well. It's another thing that we did it once. We've never had to change it because it just works so well.
Except for those few people that were like, do I have to take my gold sticker off my water bottle? Because now I can't hit my standard because, they're 45 and they're like, I can't hit my squat standard anymore. But then it was good because it was like, okay, maybe it was too easy for them. And now it's actually a little bit harder. So I think that's great. I have a question for you. If you had to get rid of one of the standards, which one would it be?
So
I don't know which child you would. Just kidding.
So I would, I know the answer to this question, actually. I would eliminate the side bend, but I would
100%, dude.
I would. Hang on.
I literally said that to Nicole this morning.
It wouldn't be out of the program per
That's
se.
fine.
It would be
fine.
because
we disown it, but we keep it.
One thing I found out about the side bend over
It's like
the
the
years
ugly stepchild.
is that we absolutely have to have the breathing mechanics and control. We absolutely have to have the rib mechanics and the mobility there.
Yeah.
But we can probably teach it in a way that gets the same outcomes without having to have it be one of the 12.
And replace it with a weighted carry or another high rocks exercise. Take your pick, any one you want.
Oh yeah.
No, but really, what would you replace it with?
No, what would I replace it with? I think a carry could be really good, but a carry it's a little bit hard to make it as progressive and objective because we'd have to control the pace that people walk. We'd have to control a lot of parts about how they walk.
Just time. Distance with a weight.
Yeah, which would be
That's
hard.
what High Rocks does.
But that would be difficult to do within
our studios
because the studios are small and we still have to have everything fit within 50 minutes, and people are going to do distances at different times. This is going to turn into a programming meeting real quick here.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But it's that would be the direction I would go.
Yeah, you don't really want people running with weight. That feels dangerous.
Yeah, running
be.
into other people.
Could be.
What's your favorite of the movement standards if you had to pick one?
If I could only pick one single movement standard and it was the only one that we did, it would 100% be squats. The squat reveals the most about the body's ability to not only be strong and have a high capacity, but to coordinate a lot of different muscles, joints, and nerves, make them all work together harmoniously. And it reveals so many things that can be wrong with the body so that they can be treated. And the best part is that they can be treated within the context of the squat itself. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
All right. I have another hard question for you.
Okay.
And we're going to answer this one delicately.
Delicate's my middle name.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. After you made that comment at the start about he who shall not be named.
I name names.
You name names. Okay.
My three favorite things to talk about are religion, money, politics, and then if I had to add a fourth, it'd be any kind of family drama.
Yeah.
So I'm anyway.
You're probably a hoot at family parties.
That's why he doesn't ever get invited back to go see his family.
Oh, that's so mean.
I'm joking.
She'll be punished later.
It's because I'm an orphan and I have no family.
Okay, hard question.
Okay.
What do we say to somebody who they identify as overweight? They know that they have a lot of body weight. So maybe they have, let's say, like for this argument's sake, 100 extra pounds of weight on them that they know that they need to lose to get to an ideal weight. So their standards are going to be quite difficult to accomplish, specifically for the big three. Now we have capped them. We did put caps on all of them. So it's like you're never going to have to deadlift or squat or press beyond a certain amount. But those caps are still relatively high, I think. Do you think the cap just solves that problem, or is it still enough where it's like, what do you think? I don't want to answer the question.
Yeah. So I think the caps were very necessary because it is one of those things that can kind of spiral out of control. And like we were talking about earlier, human psychology is just, we need to have a very specific target that we're pursuing. And if there is no target, if there is no, in this case, a cap, it makes it hard for our brains to focus on something long enough to make big changes. So I think that the caps were really important, not only physiologically and for safety, but also psychologically.
You know what the kids say?
What?
No cap.
Oh, right. I know.
My son baseball team yesterday, they're like 9-year-olds, and they're like talking to each other. They're like, no, dude, no cap, man, no cap. I'm like, what does that even mean? Apparently it means like, I'm serious. I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And you can also just say cap. Yeah. Which means that's
also not lying.
No, that would mean like you are lying.
Oh, you are lying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because no cap.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like say a thing about yourself that might be unbelievable.
Oh, I won the sit and reach competition in 7th grade.
Cap. You got the worst flexibility I've ever seen.
That's not true.
Pure
No.
cap.
Did we use it correctly?
Good job.
Okay, good. Our language consultant over there.
Anyways, back to caps.
So that's the first part of the answer. The second part is weight is so hard because there's 100 different reasons that somebody can be overweight, and what overweight even means is somewhat hard to pin down. It's certainly not just a BMI. If we went by BMI, believe it or not, I classify as overweight. You probably do too.
Oh yeah.
You probably don't. So hear me. I am officially, by the medical institution of the day, I am considered overweight. So anyway, what overweight even means is somewhat subjective, but I think anybody who spends time on planet Earth and planet Earth's gravity with bodies designed the way that our bodies are designed, our joints, our feet, our knees, our hips, there is an awareness that there's a weight where you feel healthy and you feel like yourself. And there's a weight where you feel unhealthy. You don't feel like yourself. You feel like things are too hard. And this is a delicate question. But it is very important. And so, and some people have no problem with it. Some people are just like, I mean, I remember, what's his name? He came in, and during our consultation, the first thing he told me was, I know I'm a fat bastard and I got to lose weight. It's like, okay, we won't have to talk about this delicately at all.
I think you've said this before. Forgive me if you haven't, but when people can hit all 12 standards, I want them to know, like, I now have objective proof to demonstrate what is certainly true, which is I'm in good health from a movement standpoint. And in order to check that box and say, hey, you're good, you've got to be a reasonable body weight relative to your height.
Right. And so that's why the big three, there's a mobility component. Overhead press, you got to be able to get your arms all the way over your head. You got to get the bar below your chin. For squat, you've got to be able to get your knee below your hip crease. There's a mobility component, and then there's a load component, and that load component is based on a percentage of your body weight. And those are the percentages where we've found over time that people that can move that percentage of their body weight through that range of motion, they stop having the problems with the feet and the knees and the hips and the backs and the necks and the shoulders and the elbows. And the reason that we continue to adhere to that is because, like Matt was saying, people ask us these questions as experts. They need answers that are reliable. And so to an extent, we have to be realistic with how our bodies are designed and the gravity that we live in and the lives that people want to live. And when we put all those things together, one of the best ways to assess it is through these percentages of body weight moving through certain ranges of motion. And what's cool about that is that it doesn't necessarily matter if you've got a higher or lower percentage of body fat, or if your clothes fit a certain way, or your body shape is a certain way. And it really, I think it cuts through a lot of the noise that fitness culture has created over several decades now about what body fat percentage you should have, or what shape your body should be, or how your clothes should fit. And those things are they're very subjective, and they're really going to come down to kind of an individual level of what somebody wants, or what feels right to them. But when we're just talking about physics on planet Earth, that's where those numbers come from.
Yep.
And that's why we stick to them, with, as we talked about earlier, a higher cap, because there is a certain extent to which the body can, where we're already moving so much of our own weight, that then adding additional load, so which is another thing that I talk about as kind of a silver lining when I work with somebody who's particularly overweight, is you've been weight training every day of your life. Every step you take, like you're actually strength training. And this isn't a podcast about weight loss, but in most cases, weight loss is possible through many of the same incremental processes that we've talked about with strength training. And what's very cool is when somebody loses a lot of weight, but they've spent years developing a lot of strength and bone density to handle that larger body, and then their body gets smaller, and suddenly they've got all of this strength on tap. It's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. It's a silver lining.
That is a silver lining. And I think I heard this recently, and I love it for Village. We want to create a safe space, but not a soft space.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Figured you'd like that. Safe space, meaning like, I don't care where you're starting from. We're going to meet you where you're at, and we're going to care for you and understand your unique story and the challenges you're up against, the hormonal changes going on within your body that make it tough to lose weight, to gain weight for some people. But the standard is the standard. And we have this incredible belief that we can help get you there. And when you get there, you're going to feel fantastic. And if it's simply physically impossible to get you there, we're going to help create a different target or goal for you.
Yeah. It's certainly not a space where there's any kind of stigma or shame, or
I hope not.
No, or judgment or anything like that. I think
we like started putting people that have achieved the standard for the big three up on the wall in our studios to celebrate them.
Guess of the three of us, guess who really, really wanted to get those up on the wall?
This guy.
No, it was you.
No, it was him.
You actually got them on the wall, though.
That's because I'm the one that makes things happen.
100%. But there were some people, not many. I mean, we have like over 500 clients between the two locations. There were some people that were like, oh, that makes me feel inadequate, or like I'm never going to get there. And it's like, sounds like it is true. I can't deny that they feel that way, but that was not our intention. Like, our intention is to celebrate the people that have done it, and to provide an example of like, this is the goal. We want you to get here, and we believe you can, and we want to help you get there.
I also think it's like, it's amazing, because a lot of people do come in and kind of think like, I don't know if that could ever be me. And I had this happen in a session last week where someone was squatting what they did during last benchmark week. And that's when she hit her standard, and her name was up on the wall for squats. And she's like, someone next to me was like, wait, is that her? Is she on the board? And I was like, she is. And they were like, that's incredible. And I start talking, and it's like, she's been strength training for 5 years consistently. And it's like, was it easy to get to the squat standard? No, but it was like encouraging for the woman next to her to be like, I actually got to see this happen in person. And like, that could be me one day. Like, we're not that different, and we're the same age. And like, and I think it gives people hope and hopefully inspiration, rather than them feeling like they need to compare themselves.
And I think you could play the movie in the opposite direction and say, well, if you completely eliminated any kind of standard, then what happens?
Yeah.
Is the outcomes overall better or worse?
Worse.
And I think they're worse.
Yeah.
Worse.
Totally.
We've got to wrap up here.
I got one more thing I really want to say.
Let's end on this.
Okay. So this is a question I get a lot. And so people will ask, don't I really need to do balance specific exercises to get better at balance? Or don't I really need to do flexibility specific exercises to get better at being flexible? And the answer is what most people need fundamentally is more capacity. So things like increased range of motion or the ability to keep your center of mass over your base of support, aka balance, they tend to be things that require a lot of reserve strength and capacity to be able to do effortlessly. So what that means is if you are struggling to stay balanced on 2 feet, the way to get better at feeling balanced is not to practice standing on 1 foot. It's to get really, really, really strong on 2 feet, say by doing a squat or a deadlift. And once your capacity to be on 2 feet is a multiple of your body weight, aka the standard, turns out that anything else that you do on your feet, because you have such a high capacity now, becomes a lot easier, including when you're put on 1 foot or thrown off balance or you're in movement. And your nervous system is essentially better at controlling all of that little nuanced stuff that amounts to balance and coordination when it represents a tiny fraction of your max capacity. And so a much faster pathway to increasing balance, and there's a whole other mechanism for flexibility, but I guess we're almost out of time. The fastest way to bring out some of these specific attributes of fitness actually come from simply increasing your total capacity, because those specific attributes function best when they are a small fraction of total capacity. So if you're already at capacity, just standing on 1 foot, you're not going to get better at it by practicing standing on 1 foot. It's more by bringing up the ceiling of capacity. Maybe that should be another podcast, but
that could be a whole podcast.
It's a thing I'm very excited about right now.
That's awesome. We'll do this again.
All right. Because I need more of those compliments.
Yeah.
That was great.
You need to be part of the safe space more.
I'm going to be writing on that for like the next month.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, well.
Dang. Well, thank you, Dr. Erik. This was awesome.
Thank you.
You are
Here it comes.
very, very smart. And I think people are going to love hearing about all this with the standards, because they're doing it 3 hours a week, or 2. So we're doing it 2 hours a week.
Some are doing it 4.
We're doing it 4. Anyways, thanks for listening to the Strength for Life podcast. Until next time.
I'm Nicole Klingler.
And I'm Dr. Matt Klingler, and this is Dr. Erik Gullen.
And I'm just so grateful to be here and so grateful to get to do this work and have people follow my crazy programs.
Thanks for listening, everybody.